There's a photo that's gone viral around the world of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor leaving a Norfolk police station. It hit the front pages globally, breaking news coverage and commentators calling it historic, unprecedented, and a fall from grace. But before I go any further, I'm not commenting on the legal case. He has denied all wrongdoing, and I'm not here to debate guilt or innocence. What interests me is the image itself, because when journalists say, "This picture says everything," I always pause. Does it? What are we really looking at? And what are we not seeing? If you haven't clicked on my channel before, I'm not a royal commentator. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and life coach, and I work with the nervous system, especially when identity feels shaken, when shame is activated, and when someone is under pressure. What's really happening? Now, I want to offer a lens that you might not be seeing in the headlines. So when I look at this image, I don't just see news, I see exposure. I see what happens when status, identity, and public scrutiny collide all at once. And I see something else. I see the collective reaction, because I don't think we're just watching a man in the back of a car. I think we're watching what happens when identity fractures in public. And that touches something very deep in the human system. You see, when someone's role, reputation, and standing shift suddenly, the brain doesn't interpret that as bad headlines. It interprets it as threat, not necessarily physical threat, a social threat. And social threat is powerful. If you look at the image, we can associate Andrew with the man who has been insulated, entitled, and almost untouchable. And now we're seeing him exposed. Let's look at the eyes. See how they're wide, fixed, almost glassy, that classic deer in the headlights? That's usually vigilance. When someone feels under scrutiny, the brain shifts into scanning mode. It's looking for threat. It's orienting. Am I safe? Who's watching? What happens next? When the nervous system goes into high alert, it doesn't relax easily at all. It actually stays switched on. Now, if you have a look at the jaw, see how it's tight, held? You can see the tension. The jaw is one of the first places we brace when we're holding something in, whether it's words, emotion like fear, anger. It's a way of containing, and containing can feel like control. And when everything feels uncertain, control becomes important. Then notice the shoulders. They're not open and relaxed. They're slightly drawn inward. When we feel exposed, the body contracts. It protects itself. Expansion tends to signal ease or confidence, whereas contraction, it signals protection. Now, if you look at the hands, see how they're clasped together? That often is a subtle way that the body self-soothes, an attempt to regulate when things are overwhelming. These small gestures can show us what it looks like when someone is under intense social stress and pressure. 10 hours of questioning, cameras waiting outside, the whole world watching. That's intense overwhelm, and the body's reacting not to the story, but to the intense scrutiny and exposure. Now, here's the part I find even more powerful. It's not only what might be happening in the car with Andrew, it's what that image represents. Because when people describe it as historic, what they're reacting to is contrast. A life associated with high status, royal lineage, global visibility and hierarchy, and now visible vulnerability, entitlement into exposure, and insulation into destabilizing. When someone who has lived inside privilege suddenly faces scrutiny, it grabs our attention. There's a deep human sensitivity to fairness, to balance, to whether power is accountable. And when that dynamic shifts, it's emotionally charged. That's why this image is iconic. It captures a moment where power and vulnerability intersect. And humans are wired to notice that. And you can see how this shift is unsettling, not just because of scandal, but because it reminds us how quickly perception can change, how fragile public identity really is, and how roles built around title or status can feel solid until they aren't. I think that's why people can't look away. We're not just watching a person under threat, we're watching a narrative fracture in real time. It's fascinating, isn't it? And maybe that's what grips us in this quiet, uncomfortable truth. Identity can feel stable for years until one moment shifts it. And that's something every human nervous system understands, even if we don't say it out loud. So what are we actually looking at in this photo? It's not a verdict. It's not proof. It's a human nervous system under extraordinary public exposure. Muscles bracing, attention sharpening, the body protecting itself. That's what gives the image its charge. You don't have to be royal to recognise that. This can happen in divorce, in job loss, in public failure, in any moment where identity feels suddenly exposed. The body reacts before the narrative catches up. That's what this image captures, the stress response in a single frame. If this perspective gave you something new to consider, you're welcome to subscribe. And if you'd like to explore the nervous system regulation more deeply, I've linked a short grounding practice below.